this one, don't I? Not terrible.
It's nice. I like it. I retired from the Park District, Rockford, and I was
Roberta
telling.
Roberta tells me about you.
Oh,
Cohagen?
oh, that's scary. No, but I was telling about because he said he's got so many of these, and I was telling him I still have some Park District ones. Because I retired in 2011, I still have some. Because I don't wear a lot of T-shirts, but I need to start
So
wearing.
now I don't. Yeah, I can turn that down a bit.
Testing, testing.
Nothing.
Thank you, Dr. Stewart. Thank you. I will give them away. I have marketing blood in me.
Get off the plane, it goes to the hotel, and it goes to this.
That's how it usually is.
That's fine.
Pardon me?
What is interesting? Very interesting.
Dr. Spearman and Bob, the chairman, and a couple other people are going to a legislative visit in February in Washington. So, yeah.
Could have been.
And then, I'm sorry?
Could have been me. It's okay.
Why didn't you ask? I didn't hear, so I mean, I forgot to ask. But there's a state or a national conference in Seattle. I think it's later this month, and I think he's going to that too. So. Estimated cost of food in addition to what is included in the and that is the registration that includes the entire school. How are you doing? I'm just great. Of course, doing great too. Good. Hello, Nico.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
A little tired. All
You're
day.
young. You don't know what tired is.
No.
You just wait.
All day. I went to Minneapolis Sunday or Saturday. All day trip was tiring.
Driving?
Yeah.
Oh,
One day.
yeah. It's a long drive.
3.5 hours, 4. Not too bad, but St. Paul's very boring. Minneapolis is much better. If you ever go to St. Paul, man, much to do.
Really?
It's really boring.
Yeah. Did you go for family visit? Business?
I just wanted to just go there, see the Capitol,
Okay.
and then there's like a few tourist areas.
Okay.
I was like, well, it's not too far away.
Right.
Yeah, so, yeah.
This is the best time to go too.
Yeah.
I want to go in January.
It's 5:15. Let's have a roll call, please. Sorry, let me precede it by saying Rock Valley College Board of Trustees, District 511, board meeting at the Advanced Technology Center, Route 1300. Meeting is commencing at 5:15 p.m., October 22nd. Roll call, please.
Soltel.
Here.
Kudia.
Here.
Nelson.
Here.
Simpson.
Here.
Michaels. Here. Gorski.
Here.
Kennedy, yes. Trojan.
Yes, here.
We have enough for a quorum.
Okay, all the board members are here, so we have no need for attendance by other than physical presence. Are there any communications and petitions? I see one. Paul Noley?
Yes, Paul Newley with Project First Rate, and his topic to discuss is responsible bidder policy.
Evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Evening, Paul.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me back here. Good to see you all again. Again, my name is Paul Nolly. I am the Executive Director of Project First Rate. We are a nonprofit organization representing tradespeople and contractors from across the region. I'm also a lifelong resident of Blue County and Rock Valley College jurisdiction. So, in light of the fact that tonight you all are, as trustees, are being asked to make an exception to the college's responsible bidder policy, I felt that it was important to come here tonight and highlight the purpose and the benefits of these policies and using them for taxpayer-funded construction. First, I do want to thank all of you, the trustees, the staff, et cetera, for enacting a policy such as this and utilizing it over the years, during which we've all seen improvements in addition to the college's assets, including the ATC, which of course we're all here today. So I want to thank you for that first. That said, the proposed exception to the policy that you're all considering to bypass today, as it stands, that policy provides important protections not only for you all as the trustees and policymakers, but for the taxpayers as well. The public bears the cost, of course, not just for this initial contract that you're all considering today and many other times, but also for any additional expenses that could come if the job was not done properly, needs to be reworked, repaired, etc., due to subpar performance or other related issues. See, a major pillar of these responsible bidder policies is the requirement that any company performing construction must use workers on that project who have completed a registered apprenticeship program, which is the equivalent of a bachelor's degree for the building and construction trades. This is the only way a public body can ensure that companies receiving taxpayer dollars are hiring fully qualified, skilled, and safe professionals who are educated and trained in the specific work they will perform on behalf of all of you, and thus as a taxpayer. This is important in every aspect of construction, not just the beginning, not just the end, everything in between. By overriding apprenticeship and training requirements for certain aspects of construction, these protections will be weakened. This is what is in front of you all tonight. Compromising taxpayer protections for the sake of expediency could have unintended consequences. Please consider this as you make your respective choices this evening. A strong, responsible bidder policy equals strong protections for you as policymakers and your constituents, the taxpayers and students of Rock Valley College. So again, I want to commend you all for your strong track record so far of using and strengthening these protections, and I hope that this evening does not mark a divergence from the college's strong track record on this issue. Thank you all very much tonight.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
you.
Any other communications or petitions?
No communications and petitions.
Are there any visitors to be recognized?
No that acknowledge themselves to be recognized.
So under the general presentations, as you know, there has been some concerted discussions regarding the paint booth. I had asked Joe Prokowski to investigate this last week, and he has prepared his attorneys have prepared an opinion, and late Sunday, Trustee Gorski submitted some further questions. So our presentation today, our general presentation today will be Joe explaining what they have found, and open for any questions before we proceed with the regular meeting. So, Joe, it's your turn. Wherever you'd like.
Good evening, everyone.
Good
Here you
evening.
go.
I don't often have to give presentations to the board, but I'm honored to do so. I know this is a difficult issue, and there's been a lot of questions about the paint booth bid. I refer to it that way, but I think we all know which bid number I'm referring to. I have sat through the last couple of meetings in which there have been questions raised about the issue of a single bidder coming forward, and the college's recommendation to the board that the RBO policy be suspended in part with respect to one of the provisions on the apprenticeship. So it's not the entire policy that is that recommendation, it's rather just that portion of the RBO that requires the apprenticeship. So we have that in the board policies. We have the bid that was received, a single bid on this particular paint booth item. And questions had been raised because this bidder, with respect to what is being installed in a particular paint booth, only this vendor, the vendor that we're talking about is Platinum, and the Platinum equipment rather. With respect to the manufacturer, they will only provide a warranty if this vendor is the one who installs it. So this vendor does not meet the requirement of having the apprenticeship under the RBO, and that's what the recommendation that was brought forward from the administration to the board. Some questions were raised, I think primarily by Trustee Gorski, but I think Trustee Nelson may have also joined in that. I apologize if there was someone else and I didn't catch them, but questions were raised as to the efficacy of that recommendation to go with this single bidder, and what that means to go with this bidder in terms of having to suspend that portion of the policy just for this bid only. So kind of an unusual ask from the administration in terms of you don't usually ask to suspend policies. It has to happen from time to time. You have a board policy which allows you to do that. So you can suspend board policies, I'll say that first of all. But the question here is whether it is compliant with law, with regulation, and with policies to do what the administration is recommending be done here. And in talking with the administration and the recommendation that they're making, they're also relying upon other consultants that the college is using in this project, including a construction manager and the architects that are assigned to this. So it's not just the administration, it's the consultants that have been engaged in the downtown project. So we have looked at this question because questions were raised, as I said, primarily by Trustee Gorski, that perhaps what was occurring here was bid rigging because there was only one vendor who came forward with a bid. Trustee Gorski has indicated that that vendor doesn't meet board policy because they don't have the apprenticeship program. Trustee Gorski, I think, has also suggested that there is bid steering, which is a different type of allegation than bid rigging. Bid rigging and bid steering are both illegal under Illinois law, but they mean two different things, which there's some nuanced differences between the two. But I laid out in the opinion letter that we provided to the board, actually the opinion letter was written primarily by my partner, Chris Gorman, but we laid out the definitions of bid rigging and bid steering pretty specifically from the statute. So you have that in front of you as to what those statutes mean and what those terms mean. And they're very specific definitions. First, with respect to bid rigging, there has to be collusion amongst vendors to
have one of a number of vendors receive the bid at issue. There's also an element of information being shared by the public body with the vendors to facilitate that. So bid rigging is kind of a collusion type thing between the vendors that are bidding. That's not the case here. There's only one vendor, first of all, and there's no indication that any information has been shared with the vendor with respect to the bid. The vendor in this case had the same information that all eligible vendors were provided through bid specifications. So bid steering is the other allegation I think that was made. So we took a look at that as well. And bid steering is not the same as bid rigging. It's a little different. It's more of an allegation that the public body itself wanted to achieve a particular outcome in the bid. And with respect to bid steering, the commonality between bid steering and bid rigging is in both situations you have the sharing of information with a vendor that no other vendors are receiving. So information that's not put out into the public as a part of the bid or that's not available to other potential bidders. We looked at that in particular. We found no evidence that any other, we found no evidence that the vendor, in this case Platinum Equipment, received any information that wasn't shared with any other interested party in this process. We also took a look at the process because there were some allegations that the process of developing the specifications for the bid resulted in a desired outcome. And what we're talking about specifically in this case is how do we develop bid specifications? So you have in this case a very particular type of equipment that is being purchased. It is a paint booth. I don't know a whole lot about paint booths, but I've learned a lot last week in particular. They do, for purposes of curriculum and instructing students, there are some specifications that are needed. And in this process, to determine what the specifications were, they consulted with the faculty members who teach the students. So I think that's a key fact in this whole situation, is that there was a process in place where specifications were developed for the bid in consultation with the faculty members that would be teaching students. And those faculty members had ideas as to what was the best product. And so in this process, there was a manufacturer that was identified. Actually, there were three that are referenced in the bid specifications. Those three are Global Finishing Solutions, Gamut Manufacturing, and Nova Verta Manufacturing. So there's three different manufacturers that appear in the bid specifications because all three of these manufacturers were determined to be in a position to provide the type of paint booth that the faculty in particular felt was useful for curriculum, useful for instructing students, useful for the type of facility that the college is trying to construct here. So with respect to those three manufacturers, they particularly focused on Global Finishing Solutions. And Global Finishing Solutions provided the specifications for their particular type of product. And that became what is put into the bid. Now that's not a preference, that is something that's common to do, right? And it's not unusual. It's referred to as a single manufacturer design specification. Basis of design is another way to look at that. So it's not a preference for a particular manufactured product, it's a preference for a basis for design, that product, in this case, the product from Global Finishing Solutions could provide. In this process, and we're dealing in this process not just with the faculty, consulting with the faculty, but you have your architects, you have your construction manager. They're working on developing the bid process with the college administration. And in that process, they're making sure that the only manufacturer is not Global Finishing Solutions that can meet the specifications. So they identified Gamut and they identified Nova Verta as other manufacturers who could provide, who could meet those specifications in a way that was substantial enough to achieve the bid. So the bid specifications do not in any way refer to Platinum Equipment, the vendor, but they do refer to these three manufacturers because the college and its consultants determined that these three manufacturers could provide the product. So let's fast forward. The college goes through the bid process. It attempts to attract as many potential vendors as possible. I think Mr. Jenks provided last time a description of how many vendors were issued the bid. The construction manager also sought to come up with as many vendors as possible to provide bids. However, only Platinum Equipment came forward. And remember what is the issue that you're looking at here. Platinum Equipment can install the Global Finishing Solutions product, the paint booth, that Global Finishing Solutions can provide. Now, Global Finishing Solutions says, if you want us to give you a warranty on that paint booth, you have to use Platinum Equipment. Platinum Equipment made a bid, they're the only vendor, and from the college's perspective, the way the bid was set up was such that they are a responsible bidder because vendors, potential bidders, were given two options. They could provide a bid where they would be able to meet the college's RBO with respect to the apprenticeship, or what they could do is submit a bid without meeting that, such that the college could attract even more bids, more vendors to compare. But again, only Platinum Equipment came forward, and I believe that is the primary reason why questions have been raised. I know there's been questions raised by Trustee Gorski with respect to the process and what was known before by the various individuals involved, the college's consultants, the architect, the construction manager. Happy to answer those questions. I respect every one of you. I have been working with this college for a very long time, longer than I wish to admit sometimes, because it reflects on my age. But I greatly respect all of you, and I in no way intend to question your judgment, your ability to question the college's recommendation in this case. I don't have a recommendation. That's not what I do. I provide you legal advice as to whether the college's recommendation is something that is legally compliant. And in this case, as we laid out in our opinion letter, we believe that it is, and that there is no violation of any law, and that it is appropriate. However, you're the board. There's a non-legal question at some point where the board has to act and make a decision. You could accept the college's recommendation to temporarily suspend that portion of your RBO, which says the bidder, the vendor, has to have that apprenticeship program just for this paint booth only. Or you could decide not to. It's your decision, and I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm just telling you that what the college has recommended is valid, it's legal, and it doesn't cause a problem from a legal compliance perspective. There were some additional questions that Trustee Gorski provided on Sunday night. We had already prepared the opinion letter because we had been working on it the previous week. And so it's current up through what we knew on Friday. I don't know that Trustee Gorski, in his additional questions, identified any new facts, but there were some different questions that you posed, and I'm happy to answer those questions if you wish me to.
Yes, sir.
May I restate at least one of them? First of all, thank you for the report. The question of that the board or that the administration did what it could to put 3 different types of manufacturing specs into the bid. It's a little bit misleading when only one of the specifications for the one product could only be met fully by one installer, and then we had 2 other ones that were in there, but we have letters from at least 2 possible bidders. That one said they asked for information so they could become distributor or installer of the product, and they got no response. And then one of them was actually trying to negotiate a distributor or a relationship with one of those vendors and requested an extension on the bid process from the college, and they were denied. So if you're going to establish business relationships with these companies, company B and C, they didn't even bid on any of their products. It would seem to me that the college would have, allowed an extension to it. And if had they allowed an extension to it, and this bid still came in, the lowest that I have, there'd be like almost no basis for the argument other than the responsible bidder portion of it. Now, one question that I forwarded to Joe and Matt was, under what authority did the administration have to forego the RBO on the receipt of the RF of the bids? You could have come to us in August and said, this is what we're going to do. Can you vote on it and give us a preliminary waiver on it? But I don't believe the attorneys or even a single board member could authorize you to ignore board policy on receipt of it. So it's not even a responsible bidder issue. It becomes a responsive bidder question because it's not fully addressing all of the requirements in our purchasing policy.
I don't think that the board's authority was usurped because ultimately you have the say as to whether or not the bid is awarded. So I think what the college did in this case in providing those two alternative ways to make a bid to try to get as many vendors as possible was a preliminary decision, not usurping the board's authority. Because ultimately it has to come back to you.
Well, so they chose to forego that, but wouldn't allow a later bid, which would also been contrary to our board policy. So they chose to forgive one thing and not forgive the other, and I'm just trying to figure out what the rationale in that is. So picking and choosing what you're going to forgive or ignore to advance the thing, the full, this, 8206B, DB, whatever it is, to the full board. This seems to me to be an arbitrary, decision. If you're going to, why pick and choose those, those things to either enforce or not enforce? So, because the deadline is arbitrary, is set by us too. It's also a board requirement. It isn't a state statute. It's not a federal statute. It's not a whatever. So,
yeah, in my recollection of the question on the time frame, I believe the time frame was 3 weeks, which I think was determined to be fairly standard for this type of a bid. But that the time frame does vary depending upon the type of what is at issue in the bid. I can't speak to the decision making as to why the request for an extension beyond the 3 weeks wasn't granted, if it's part of the college's practice. But I don't know if there was a conclusion that providing an extension would have resulted in any more bidders coming forward. But so I can't really speak to what the decision was on that.
and then what is going to be your recommendation to the chair or the board, and how to approach this vote, since it isn't, we know the vendor isn't consistent with our purchasing policy.
The recommendation from the administration, which I think is a valid recommendation in terms of the process, is to first move and act upon a motion to suspend the board policy, which has the RBO requirements, but suspended just for that section on the apprenticeship. So that would be the first act, and then if that were to pass, then the second action would be to ask to approve the bid itself.
Right.
And this is a question for the chair. So are you separating A and B from that report?
Yes, we're going to separate the snow removal project from the paint booth project and vote separately on each one.
Okay. I feel I'm getting snowed on Article B also, but that's me. So.
Okay, any other, yes, sir, John?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Um, uh, Joe, as I understand it, the college administration deliberately ignored board policy, but that's really if I understand you correctly, that's really a decision upcoming that whether or not the board votes yes or no, correct?
I wouldn't say that the board or the administration ignored the board policy. I believe the approach that's been taken is an attempt to achieve the objective of getting the paint booth so that the project could proceed. So they saw this as a solution. But yet, to answer your question, ultimately, it's the board's decision as to whether you approve that approach.
Well, Joe, you usually attend our meetings, and you've heard me ask President Spearman more than once at our meetings, can you let me know what you think is board policy? And the answer I've gotten, or what are policy decisions by the board, and what are the how or the carrying those out by the administration? Where's the line or the difference? And the best answer, and really the only answer I got was, well, the board policies. So let's assume that that's the policies, the policy, the what that the board apparently the administration concedes establishes. How is this? I mean, how can it not be keeping the board in the dark, whether by error or inadvertence or any other reason? But moving on, the cases that I have researched, which are mostly criminal, in terms of bid rigging and violation of statutes, including federal statutes, seem to center around as little as two bidders who conspire and because of their superior knowledge and involvement with various businesses and the public have come to pool their knowledge, and they seem to vary one way and another to get bids. And I believe in that particular case, one of the two rolled over on the other one, and that because of the amount of money and the federal guidelines, that involves significant prison time. So let me ask you, did you look up this company and see on any other community college boards whether or not they were a successful bidder, or in the other two that you talked about, did you research those and look into, the facts of their application for other somewhat similar bids?
You're asking about the three manufacturing companies?
Yes.
Not the vendor, because the vendor's different than the three companies.
Yes.
Okay. Did my firm personally investigate those companies? No.
Okay. Now, you've talked about how the administration has investigated this and felt that this was the best way to proceed. And how all you're really talking to us about is legalities. But don't you think it's better to bring alternatives to the board rather than bringing this particular scenario with the ever-present, and I have mentioned this since I was elected, idea that we have to hurry. You know, we have to make our timelines, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's becoming fairly, unfortunately, more and more apparent that any time we hear everything has to be done in a hurry, it's not necessarily anything but short-circuiting board decision-making and that kind of thing. Would you agree with that?
That was a very long question, so I'm going to tell you what I agree with and what I looked at. What I looked at in this process and what my partner looked at was, you know, what efforts were made by the college administration in this case to provide multiple bidders. I think they did try their best. This is a specialty piece of equipment. The college doesn't have any control over the fact that a manufacturer says, you know, if we're going to provide this to you and you want a warranty, we get to select who the vendor is. And if you don't use that vendor, we're not going to give you the warranty. So, you know, that's a condition that is, I think, not necessarily unique, but it is, I think, something that goes hand in hand with specialty type equipment of this nature. So I think you're dealing with a set of circumstances here. And I think the college did try. I think the college used its consultants, the architect and the construction manager, to try to head off a situation where you only had one bidder. I think the evidence of that is coming up with a bid process which gave you option A and option B. The other thing I should note is not only were 2 other manufacturers identified that could provide a compliant product with the specifications, but there were also the opportunity for other vendors to submit a bid based upon substitution. So we provided, or the college provided, flexibility in the bid specs, knowing that this was going to be potentially a narrow field when it comes to a paint booth that was the type of paint booth that the college needed. So I see a lot of effort put in by the college and its consultants into trying to provide the board with that desired outcome of having multiple bidders to choose from to have that competitive process. So I didn't see anything negative in that regard. I understand your concern about timeliness. You know, a board member, I've heard this with other boards that I work with, that whenever the board feels rushed, they become concerned about why are we being rushed here. You know, I do think that when you're dealing with a project of this nature, and this is one component, I think Mr. Jinks said this last time, there's a lot of pieces that are contingent on getting past the paint booth piece of it, because that's going to determine, you know, the HVAC that you're going to buy and the way you construct the facility. So getting past this is very important to move forward on the other components. And I'm not advocating rushing anything, but, you know, I do think there's a timeliness.
Okay.
There's a time requirement hanging over the administration. Forward.
Okay, Joe and John, I think we've debated this thing long enough. From the standpoint of the process, there has been no evidence of any bid rigging. There's been no evidence of evading bidding requirements, and there's been no evidence that any vendor bidding has complied with the Illinois state law. So from that standpoint, as far as I'm concerned, I think we need to move forward, given the fact that it looks like the process itself has been sound. All right? Thank you very much, Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Joe. Good job.
Moving on, we have approval of the minutes from September 10th and September 24th. The motion.
I move to approve both September 10th Committee of the Whole for 2024 and September 24th for the regular board meeting, 2024, to be approved.
Second.
Motion Padilla, Richard, second. Roll call.
Soto.
Yes, here, yes.
Padilla.
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Michaels. Gorski.
Yes.
Kennedy, yes. Trojan.
Yes.
Motion's carried.
Next item is purchase report A, fiscal 25 purchases, BR 8206-A. Motion?
Call the orders of the day. Looking at the agenda, it says approve, unless I'm missing something.
We skip on
Claim
8205.
sheet?
Oh, the claim sheet.
Thank you. Let's go back. Approve the claim sheet, register BR 8205.
So moved.
Second.
Soto.
Yes.
Padilla.
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Simpson. Michaels.
Yes.
Gorski.
Yes.
Kennedy, yes. Trojan.
Yes.
Motion's carried.
Okay, next item is purchase report A, fiscal 25 purchases, BR 8206-A.
So moved, and I'd like to speak to it.
Second.
Motion Gorski,
I got it.
second. Anybody? Michael, thank you.
Michaels.
It's okay. It's all right. May I speak to it, sir, Chair?
Huh?
May I speak to
Go
it?
ahead.
Okay, so just as I usually do, any changes since the cow on this? Okay. Could you explain the changes? I know the red line, but just so we can talk about them out loud.
So the changes that occur from the purchase report A from the committee of the whole is the snow removal bid and the paint booth bid have been moved to purchase report B. And Terracon, which was initially a amendment, it's been decided that it is not an amendment because it's not been before the board previously, so that is on there as item D for $50,000.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. And for Rick, not on behalf of Rock Valley College, but on behalf of Lee County as my IT director, I've contacted some state reps and state senators and asked them to contact the Illinois Department of Revenue to clarify Stratus's authority to charge specifically one of the fees that they're charging us. And if I learn anything, I'll pass it along to you. But I didn't ask on behalf of the college, I asked my other capacity, but I'll pass along anything I learned to, okay?
I appreciate that. And we are working with now the city of Rockford and RPS 205 to
Okay,
gather to work towards a solution.
okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Soto.
Yes.
Padilla.
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Simpson. Michaels.
Yes.
Gorski.
Yes.
Kennedy, yes. Trojan.
Yes.
Motion's carried.
Okay. Purchase report B, BR 8206-B. I make a motion to separate item A, snow removal services, and item B, professional services, and vote on them separately. Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Soto.
Yes.
Padilla.
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Simpson. Michaels.
Yes.
Gorski.
Yes.
Kennedy, yes. Trojan.
Yes.
Motion's carried.
Regarding item A, snow removal services, I make a motion to reject all bids, and I will explain why during discussion. Is there a second?
Second.
Beat me too.
Roll call, please. No, discussion. Okay, according to our legal counsel, Section 3-27.1 of the Community College Act, the Board of Trustees must award all contracts for purchases of supplies, materials, or work involving an expenditure in excess of $25,000 to the lowest responsible bidder. There are a number of exceptions to Section 3-27.1, and when one of the exceptions applies, the board does not have to award to the lowest responsible bidder and has the discretion to award a contract to any vendor of its choosing. In this case, exception J applies, and it reads, quote, contracts for repair, maintenance, remodeling, renovation, or construction, or a single project involving an expenditure not to exceed $50,000 and not involving a change or increase in the size, type, or extent of an existing facility. End of quote. Does anyone wish to make any comments? So what we're voting on is rejecting all the bids. We're basically yeah. John?
Well, Mr. Chairman, my question is, where are we going?
We're going to then vote on a snow removal vendor after we do this.
Well, thank you.
You don't need your $10 today.
We got to split them all out, make them all even, okay? Yes, sir, John, Paul.
So you're saying none of them, but you're going to pick one out of a
Yes.
list before us? Or
After we decide on this, after we decide this, we'll go to the next step, which is to approve the proposal from Minihan, which was really the discussion of last board cow meeting.
Okay, sure.
Okay?
Sure.
Any other questions? None? Roll call.
Soltow,
Yes.
Padilla,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Simpson, Michaels,
Yes.
Gorski,
Yes.
Kennedy, yes. Trojan,
Yes.
motion's carried.
Now, since all bids have been rejected, I make a motion to accept the proposal from Minihan's Tree Service LLC in Garden Prairie, Illinois for $28,800. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Well,
Hearing, yeah, John?
my understanding is and we've done this before, that the reason we're doing this is Minahan Tree Service is a local vendor
Yes.
in the district. Is that, am I
Yes,
correct?
that's correct.
Okay.
Not, Garden Prairie's not too far from here, actually.
It's not a stone's throw, but it's pretty
Not a
close.
stone's throw.
It's not Cicero.
Any other discussion? Hearing none? Roll call.
Soltow,
Yes.
Padilla,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Simpson, Michaels,
Yes.
Gorski,
Yes.
Kennedy, yes. Trojan,
Yes.
motion's carried.
Okay, that's item A. Now we're going to go to item B. Regarding item B, professional services, capital downtown west side improvements, I make a motion to suspend board policy 5.10.120 purchasing, which includes responsible bidder compliance. Is there a second?
Point of order, Mr. Chair. Under Robert's Rules, Section 25 and 67, motion to suspend cannot be applied to bylaws, charters, policies, laws, or ordinances. Could only be applied to standing rules and parliamentary rule, the order of rule, changing the agenda, and the like. I have a copy of Robert Rules with me, and I have an opinion from, well, Robert Rules for Dummies, who say the same thing, interpretation. Also, I ran the idea that we were going to actually do this tonight before a parliamentarian, and I have his opinion on it, saying it can only be applied to the parliamentary rules and standing rules, and you can't be used to change it for a policy like this. It would be an ad hoc amendment to the board policy without a first and a second reading. Want to see the note, Joe? For my parliamentarians? Would you like me to respond?
Do you have an opinion, Joe?
There's a green light. Cool. The board policies allow you to suspend a policy.
Pardon me?
Your board policies allow you to suspend a board policy.
So our policy allows us to suspend it.
Yes. Your policies also refer to Robert's rules and general compliance with them, but the policies supersede any conflict where there is
Right.
between board policy and Robert's rules.
Okay.
What policies can we suspend?
I'm sorry,
What policies can we suspend?
what policies can you suspend?
Well, sometimes you can suspend certain policies that don't affect finances and the like.
You can suspend policies insofar that they don't violate the law when you suspend them and take the action you're intending to take. But you can suspend any policy.
Okay,
They're your policies.
so we're able to suspend this policy.
That's my opinion.
John?
Might I inquire, Mr. Chairman, of where in our policies that rule exists?
I yield to Joe.
It is in section 1 of the board policy handbook that you have, your original board bylaws.
Okay, is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Thank you.
For
Any
discussion?
discussion? Hearing no discussion, please roll call.
Soltal.
Yes.
Kudia.
Yes.
Nelson.
No.
Simpson. No. Michaels.
No.
Gorski.
No?
Kennedy, no. Trojan.
Yes.
Motion's not passed.
So now,
You move on.
let's go forward. I make a motion to approve the proposal submitted by Platinum Equipment LLC of
Point
Shep.
of order.
Pardon me?
You need it's a point of order. Motion to suspend needs to be approved by a 2/3 vote.
So the policy stands then with this vote.
What was the vote? What was the vote?
For no?
It was
4-3.
4-3, no.
No, 4-3, no, so we can't advance.
4-3 in negative.
Negative,
Negative.
yes. So can we move forward anyway with the decision on the equipment selection?
The motion failed. You can move to the motion, the underlying motion.
You can do what?
The motion to suspend has failed, so the
Yes.
policy still is as it was written. So you could do one of two things at this point. You can table the motion to approve the bid for the paint booth, or you can vote on the paint booth. My recommendation is that given that the motion to suspend did not succeed, and the policy is still in place, that you table that item.
Table item B.
Yes.
Make a motion to table that item to our next regular board meeting.
Yes. Dr. Spearman.
So, I understand the motion to suspend, but in this situation, is the administration, so if it's suspended and we move forward, does the administration have permission to go talk to vendors and find out exactly which one that they would be able to work on? And I'm asking the attorney. So, the administration, there's nothing we could have done about this unless we would have went to a vendor and asked them specifically. Wouldn't that be more bid rigging or steering if we talked to them directly regarding our product in advance?
It would not be bid rigging. Bid steering, I'm not sure if I understand the full.
I'm trying to figure out if there was something the college could have done differently. So right now, we have no clue who's going to accept or be able to do the installation. So the only way we can find out before a vote is then you're basically saying that we have to go and ask somebody if they will install. And I'm asking, do we have that type of permission to do that? Because otherwise, our process has always been, we talk to faculty, we figure out the manufacturers, and we put it out there for a vote. So now, are we supposed to do something different than that? Because otherwise, we're in the same boat potentially again.
Yeah, I think in this, if you were to rebid this, you're going to have to try to address the fact that whoever responds has to meet the RBO as it exists, which includes the apprenticeship program.
So then we're back in the same spot we were right now.
That is correct.
How do I do it without being unethical?
What?
You weren't unethical in anything that you've done.
How do I do it? Do I go and ask in advance? So if faculty, once again, if they have the product that they want for their curriculum, do we tell the faculty no? Do we go and talk to a specific manufacturer and vendor to, what do we do? Because we've already been told that we've done something illegal or unethical, so now I'm asking you, is there something we could have done differently so that we have not been perceived as illegal or unethical?
Well, our opinion, again, was that the college did nothing illegal or unethical in the way that this item was bid. You're going to have to bid in the same way. It's more in the process of addressing the specifications in a way that perhaps you could attract more vendors. And then there's the efforts that can be made by the college's administration and the consultants to find bidders who can meet the RBO as it currently exists. That's really the objective. You've got to find bidders who can meet that RBO.
Paul?
I think part of the objection here, and I'm not going to change my vote against the RBO going forward, would be, but if you went out for bid again and extended the period of time for the respond and allowed vendors who to build those relationships with the manufacturer B and C, the ones that were listed but then nobody responded to, then there'd be little argument. If somebody came in and the bid was still low and you still got your other bid, then you tried. You extended it. You gave them a little bit more time.
How much time are we asking for here? Since we gave them 3 weeks, are we doing like 6 weeks more? Or are we going to push it back like 8?
Well, I think one of the letters that came into us, they requested 30 days from the time of the bid release. So you could use that as a measure. But the administration should have been aware of this back in August when they were kind of creating the RFP to be released in September. So I don't really fault the board or any of the vendors that responded or didn't respond properly in time. So I would say extend the period of time, and you probably get that one extra vote that you need. So not from me, but you might get it from somebody else. And if you're asking this body to change its opinion on it, you can't reconsider a motion to suspend during the same meeting. So thank you.
John?
Thank you. The bid was for what period? 2 weeks? 3 weeks? I would extend it to at least 4, maybe 5.
It was a minimum 10-day. We already extended it 3 weeks. So we did 15 a total. And it is what it is now, but there's a good chance we won't meet our deadlines now. And it is what it is. The board made their decision and we'll have to move forward.
Right.
Mr. Chairman?
Pin this on us.
Okay.
I, something that was brought up is I do have a question. Mr. Gorski, you said there was a company that asked for more information and was denied. Could you identify who that was, and could we get an answer as to why they were denied?
I don't know, it was Miller Engineering asked for an extension on the time to respond to it.
No, you said, if I think I heard you, they wanted more information.
They wanted more time. Well, no, they wanted information from the vendor. One letter that came in said they contacted a couple of the manufacturers and didn't get response. And then one of them was reached out to the college for an extension to set up a distributorship or a resale situation for it, and it was hoping for another 30 days so they could build business relationship with them. So.
And the college felt that it was that was too long.
Copies of those,
Yes.
or letters. So.
Yes.
Okay.
So.
And
Did they misrepresent anything? Yeah.
No,
As you understand.
the college, question was asked about the 30-day. For us to meet the deadline, the 30-day extension was unrealistic, and we would have been making exceptions because we don't provide those type of extensions. So, and we can't control what type of relationship the vendor has with the manufacturer. We don't know that in advance.
Well,
I
you
have-
kind of did with the one that won. It's kind of, you're not
Not in
controlling it.
advance. That was all part of the process, and it was, the bid was there.
I have one other
Gloria,
quick
then
question. If I understood everything here, that the warranty was the key factor in, among other things, for Platinum. And according to Mr. Nolly's presentation, if there were to be any issues afterwards, there would be a cost. But if we don't have this warranty, it would be the same thing. Is that what I'm understanding?
That's my understanding.
Staff,
On mine.
is that,
Do,
It's on mine.
I'll defer to, Rick.
So if all the items were installed by a factory certified individual and we got the warranty, I don't know what the warranty would be. Year, probably a year, maybe 2 years, I don't know. Anything that occurred or an issue that came up would be covered by the warranty. If it's installed by somebody who's not factory certified and we don't have a warranty, anything that comes up would have to be fixed by the college. I don't know if that answers your question.
no, yeah, that's very good. And along those lines then, with that being the warranty, and then as we're looking for an extension here, then if we were looking to open in the fall of '26, how much, depending on how many weeks that this extension goes, that will be the length of time that we will be delayed for opening the campus downtown? So we would be looking at maybe spring?
I would have to have conversations with the architects to figure out exactly what's going to be delayed and how much. I can't answer that, I apologize.
Okay, all right, thank you.
We had a
John?
similar issue with the welding, and it ended up costing us more money for the ATC at the time. And so you were concerned about the 52 million, and so we were trying to stay under the budget and on time. But there's a chance that now we have to go back and redesign or figure this out, or not, and then just have that space and try to figure out later. But then that's going to, that's a potential roller coaster of issues that we just have to deal with.
John?
Well, I agree with the last statement the president made. I do recall that we were going to have one building, and then all of a sudden we had to design two buildings downtown. And it seems to me that we've had some delays already, but in the future, for this kind of thing, one, there's a policy in force, and two, the majority of the board this time anyway, Mr. Chairman, voted to stand up and do their policies and enforce it. And I think that's a lesson we can all learn from. And in the future, perhaps we'll hear about these problems earlier and be able to have some alternatives and not at the last minute.
Mr. Chair, I suggest that we get back on the agenda, and if you, with your permission, maybe allow any additional discussion or questions under new or old business.
Let's kind of move forward then with the rest of the agenda. Okay, next item is to approve the levy year 2024 estimated taxes required and setting the hearing date for Truth in Lending Taxation BR 8207.
So moved.
Second?
Gorski and Nelson.
That's our trust. Sotal,
Yes.
Kudia,
Yes,
Nelson,
Yes?
Simpson,
Yes.
Gorski,
Yes.
Kennedy, yes. Trojan,
Yes.
motion's carried.
Next item is approve the bond parameters resolution, a resolution providing for the issue of not to exceed $14.7 million general obligation community college bonds if the district, for the purpose of creating a working cash fund of the district, providing for the levy of a direct annual tax sufficient to pay the principal and interest on said bonds, and authorizing the proposed sale of bonds to the purchaser thereof.
So
It's
moved.
number BR 8208.
Second, and may I speak to it, Mr. Chairman?
Okay, John, go.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have discussed this numerous times in previous meetings, but it is $14.7 million. And so I think we ought to at least make a record that this is money that we have to appropriate if we're going to get reimbursed by the state. And it is for the much-needed renovation of one of our classrooms on the main campus.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Soltow.
Yes.
Padilla.
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Simpson. Gorski.
Yes.
Kennedy, yes. Trojan.
Yes.
Motion's carried.
Next item, approve the personnel report, BR 8209.
So moved.
Second.
Gorski, Kudia.
Soltow.
Yes.
Padilla.
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Simpson. Gorski.
Yes.
Kennedy, yes. Trojan.
Yes.
Motion's carried.
Next item, second reading, adoption of Board Policy Manual, Article 1, Board of Trustees Bylaws, number BR 8201. Sorry, 8210. A motion?
Is this an action item then?
I think this is a second reading, so
Right,
there's
right.
no decision.
Okay.
Okay, other business.
It's
All right.
second reading, so you're supposed to vote on it. This is
Oh,
a
we do vote
decision.
All right, motion and second, please.
Your motion.
I'll motion.
Second. Soltow.
Yes.
Padilla.
Yes.
Nelson.
No.
Simpson.
Yes.
Gorski.
No.
Kennedy, yes. Trojan.
Yes.
Motion's carried.
Okay, is there any other new business or any unfinished business?
I have no new business or unfinished business.
No new or no unfinished. Moving on, President's update.
Thank you, Chair. I have two updates. I want to thank the 60th, first I want to thank the 60th anniversary celebration team. They did a wonderful job celebrating Rock Valley College's birthday or anniversary on October 10th, and it was positive media coverage. We were able to give out over 500 T-shirts. I think the marketing communications team did a wonderful job as well. We had faculty that provided various demonstrations in chemistry and in art, and massage therapy and other areas. If you missed it, you had a chance to do esports and dance with the best of them. But overall, it was simply a positive outcome. It was a great event, and I appreciate everybody involved, and thank you for the trustees that participated and came in on that day. The second one is the 60th anniversary luncheon, retirement and alumni luncheon. Brittany Freiberg and the RVC Foundation team and those who volunteered to support them did a wonderful job with the luncheon. Thank the trustees for attending. We had an opportunity to sort of go down memory lane with some questions and past almost quizzes. I'm going blank on the word I want to use, but trivia. Thank you. And it seemed that everybody who participated truly enjoyed. We actually met one or two people that were part of the first set of graduates and participated. So it was a great event. With that, that ends my report.
Thank you. Leadership team updates.
Yes, we can start with VP Barnes, and we'll work our way to VPOs.
Good evening, trustees. I want to congratulate Eric Brown, ADA Compliance Coordinator, for receiving the Advocate of the Year Award for his time and work with RAMP. RAMP is a nonprofit, non-residential center for independent living that emulates the independent living philosophy with a mission to build an inclusive community that encourage individuals with disabilities to reach their full potential. The recognition will happen at the RAMP's annual luncheon on October 30th, 2024. So congratulations to Eric Brown. I want to recognize Maylene Morales and Omar Ramirez for their appointment as the co-chairs for the Hispanic Serving Institution Committee. I am using this experience in an effort to grow the next generation of Hispanic administrators at RVC and in higher education. Maylene and Omar will attend the Hispanic Association of Colleges and Universities annual conference in Aurora, Colorado in November 2024, where they will participate in an array of workshops, including the 23rd Annual Latino Higher Education Leadership Institute, and network with mostly Hispanic higher education leaders from across the country. I also want to express my appreciation for the outgoing co-chairs for the HSI committee, faculty member Dr. George Hernandez and Dean of Advising and Retention, Dr. Ken Coleman, for their service and leadership. And finally, you all are invited to attend the Fall 2024 DEI Symposium on Wednesday, October 30th, 2024, from 12 to 2 p.m. in the atrium. This year's annual Fall DEI Symposium will focus on free speech versus hate speech and maintaining civil discourse and civic engagement. Dr. Bob Betts, communications faculty, will deliver a lecture and facilitate a campus forum on analyzing and applying best practices for civil discourse at Rock Valley College. Please join us for a lively discussion. Free lunch will be provided. Thank you.
Good evening, trustees. A couple of very brief updates this evening. RVC was honored to play host to the annual State University Transfer Fair held in the Stenstrom Center Student Atrium on October 2nd.
Over here, we can't.
It's very echoey over here.
It's very echoey over here. Can you try it without the mic? Speak loud. Speak loudly.
You need it for the streaming. Go ahead and try
Put
it.
it further away.
Okay.
Try it.
How about now? Less echoey?
Better.
More echoey. I'll stay here. So anyhow, RVC was honored to play host to the annual State University Transfer Fair held in the Stenstrom Student Center atrium on October 2nd. Similarly, tomorrow we are happy to host the private Illinois College and University Transfer Fair from 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. tomorrow in the Student Center atrium as well. These annual events provide a great opportunity for our students to meet one-on-one with admissions representatives from our state and private campus partners and learn more about transfer opportunities. Last Friday evening, October 18th, RVC held its annual Phi Theta Kappa induction ceremony, inducting 60 new members this fall. This is a formal ceremony to induct these students into the National Honor Society for Phi Theta Kappa. Finally, a quick note regarding parking lot closure on Lot 1 on Friday, October 25th, to accommodate a trunk or treat event that I believe Trustee Mikos is speaking to in a little bit.
Yes.
And that's my updates for this evening.
All right, thank you.
Good evening, trustees.
Good
We would
evening.
like to acknowledge our talent acquisition specialists who are completing advanced recruitment training systems, better known as AIRS, to develop additional skills and innovative methods to recruit diverse employee talent. We would also like to recognize our benefits team who have been working to prepare for the upcoming open enrollment period for benefits eligible employees at the college. The college is proud to provide a variety of health and supplemental benefits to our employees to support them and their dependents. The Golden Eagle Scholars Leadership Academy, Gold Tier and Blue Tier, will start its second cohort this month of developing institutional leaders. We are grateful for our leaders and colleagues who provide expert guidance and knowledge as presenters. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to say thank you to all the trustees, faculty, staff, students, and community members who participated.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
He fixed it.
Okay. I'd like to thank everyone who participated in our Higher Learning Commission site visit last week. The peer review team was impressed with our participation and preparation for the visit. Many people collaborated to make the visit a success. I especially want to thank Sonny Glessman, who chaired the Hospitality and Campus Preparation Subcommittee, and Danielle Hardesty, who chaired the Engagement Subcommittee to prepare us for the visit. The site visit team shared some general comments with Dr. Spearman and the cabinet before they departed, but we are still waiting for their official report. Immediately following the HLC site visit, the HLC Assessment Academy team attended the Results Forum in St. Charles, Illinois, which marked our graduation from the academy. The 4-year Assessment Academy consists of in-person events, on-campus activities, online project updates, and virtual consultations that help institutions design and implement customized projects to improve student learning through assessment. Attendees included Amanda Smith, Danielle Hardesty, Kim Blanchard, Patrick Pyer, Tet Curry, and myself. I'd also like to provide some information regarding some community engagement sessions that are upcoming regarding the Downtown West project. The college, in partnership with David Sidney at Place Foundry and Dominic DeMonica of DKA, will host a series of 4 community engagement sessions for RVC Downtown West. The first 2 sessions are scheduled for next Tuesday, October 29th at 5:30 p.m. at the Rockford Police Department Precinct 1, and on Thursday, November 7th at 10 a.m. in the RVC Stenstrom Student Center atrium. Additional sessions will take place in January and in correspondence with the groundbreaking next spring. We encourage all board members to attend our first community engagement session next week if you are available. And I'll share with you what you can expect at that event. There will be some welcoming remarks from Dr. Spearman, a project overview presented by Dominic DeMonica of DKA, and 6 stations for guests to visit and ask questions and learn more about the project. There'll be a station about the history and how we got to where we are today. Station 2 will be site design overview. Station 3 will be exterior building design. Station 4 is for interior building design. Station 5 is for the programs that will be offered at the new facilities. And the last station is a space for community members to leave feedback on the session and the project. Thank you.
Thank you.
How will the community members be advised that this is going on if there's really nothing in the newspaper that covers this kind of thing?
Yeah,
anymore?
so David Sidney, our partner at Place Foundry, has sent individual invitations to a variety of community members that he has contact with.
So these are community people, community business people and organizational
Yes.
people, not residents?
I think it's mostly organization representatives and business representatives,
thank
yes. Thank you.
Good evening, trustees. I have 2 sets of updates. The first update refers to Manufacturing Day celebrated at the ATC. We invited 6 different high schools, and they came on the 4th of October and the 18th of October. On the 4th of October, we had Hononegah, Boylan, Byron, and District 100. On the 18th, we had Meridian and Harlem. A total of 96 students passed through during those 2 days for what we had. When the students came, they had stations that they visited, so they went and they looked at the virtual welders, the TDT simulator, and they did a TDT test ride, and they also was exposed to the hydraulic excavator. They went to the welding simulator, and they also did exposure to the VR headsets that we had for the students. They also received a tour of the ATC. From the chaperones who came with the students, we were told that some of the favorites that the students enjoyed, they really liked the virtual welders, they liked the TDT simulator, they liked the hydraulic excavator, and they liked the welding simulator in particular. Last board meeting I mentioned, RPS 205 is sending 20 students from East High School to the ATC on October 28th. So that's why they were not included in this particular set of tours. Then I want to provide some updates on customized training. For this quarter, we are engaged with General Mills. They are asking us to help them with training and development. So we are providing training and development in areas such as the electrical, mechanical, fabrication, PLC, hydraulics, pneumatics, and manual machining. They have also engaged us to help them with basic electrical safety. So we have 6 cohorts of their employees that we currently have
who are doing 3 hours of basic electrical safety with us during this quarter. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Board. I have 2 updates. The first is, as everybody is aware, on September 24th, we had contractors strike a main high-voltage power line that feeds a transformer that controlled power to the buildings in E and F. Although this outage was sudden and unexpected, and although this event was unwanted, it showed how flexible and prepared the IT, POM, and police teams are regarding emergencies. Each team worked together to try and mitigate the issues related to the problem. The Boiler House team worked with the contractors and RVC administration to develop a plan to quickly respond to this problem. In addition, other members of POM, IT, and police worked to find locations for impacted employees to work until the power was restored. This included moving equipment, rerouting phones, making sure people had access, and making sure employees were safely moved to their new locations. Finally, the marketing team and communications team quickly worked to send out information to keep the college informed of not only the power outage, but also of where everybody moved so that the daily functions of the college could continue. Although this event was unwanted, I wanted to acknowledge and thank all of the RVC team members for their hard work and quick response to this emergency situation. The second item, speaking of emergencies, is I wanted to welcome our new Director of Environmental Health and Safety, Harold Kubela. Harold is a dedicated professional and has extensive experience in disaster management and military service. From 2017 to 2024, he served as the Disaster Program Manager for the Northwest Illinois chapter of the American Red Cross. Where he effectively managed local disasters, volunteers, and resources across a 10-county area. Harold's commitment to humanitarian efforts led him to deploy to large disaster reliefs in Virginia, Saipan, Puerto Rico, Guam, Colorado, and Louisiana, showcasing his abilities to respond to crises with compassion and expertise. Prior to his role at the Red Cross, Harold retired from a 27-year military career where he served in Japan, Afghanistan, and Kuwait. His blend of leadership and expertise and dedication to his service will make him a valuable asset to Rock Valley College.
All right, thank you.
Good evening, trustees. Tonight, I would like to highlight the professional development opportunities that Rock Valley College offers to their instructional employees. In addition to the exceptional professional development days that are offered 3 days a year to faculty, Dr. Terry Wandke facilitates 2 additional academies, the Adjunct Academy, which began in October as a lunch and learn opportunity and is offered virtually, and the Academy for Non-Tenured Faculty, which is provided to our 27 non-tenured faculty members. The first session will be coming up here in the first week of November with the focus on leadership in higher education faculty. So I'd like to extend a thank you to Dr. Wandke and the whole city team for the work they do. Thank you.
Good evening. We're going to talk about bonds this evening. So about 2 weeks ago, the college went through the rating and due diligence call with S&P Global Ratings. The college has been assigned an AA- long-term rating for the bonds we are issuing, the 2024 general obligation or GO bonds. And at the same time, they affirmed the AA- long-term rating and underlying rating on the outstanding GO debt with a stable outlook. The rate reflected a stable local economy anchored by the city of Rockford with steadily growing EAV driven by development and rising residential values. I'll have to say, when I was working on this project, I was really amazed when I pulled together all of the development that is being done in our region. When you look at Boone County with logistics with General Mills and Walmart, when you look at the expansion of Hennig, what's going on with Ingersoll, and at the Rockford Airport, it's just amazing about the economic development that is going on in our region. Also contributing to the rate was a multi-year trend of positive operating results with surpluses in each of the last 7 audited fiscal years. and an improving liquidity position here at the college. Partially offsetting factors included declining enrollment trend, though the enrollment base is aptly sized. Fall 2023 and fall 2024 enrollment increases point to some stabilization. Like many community colleges, we've experienced a decline in enrollment after COVID, and we are also looking at the enrollment cliff. Also, elevated pro forma maximum annual debt service burden, but with all debt retiring in 10 years. And what that means is that we have made a decision, the board has made a decision that we want to pay off debt as quickly as possible, so we carry a higher annual debt burden than our other peer colleges. And also the large pension and other post-employment benefits obligation, which could pressure the finances in the unlikely event that the state starts requiring colleges to make the required contributions from our operating budget. So that is the status of our bond rating. Also, the bonds that we are looking to issue that you've approved the parameters for this evening. The bond sale is scheduled for Tuesday, October 29th, and is expected to close November 18th. Thank you.
Any idea what you might, go ahead, John.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For those of us who remember that A is good, B is okay, and C is average, can you explain our bond rating, and has it gone up or appreciably up or down, or where do we stand in layman's terms?
AA- is a very good, solid rating. This is the same rating we received 2 years ago when we issued the refunding bonds, so it is staying stable. And compared to our community college peers, I only could find one other community college that has maybe a AA+. The bulk of the community colleges are at a AA-, and some are below that. So it is a very good rating.
Thank you.
What's the highest? AAA?
AAA.
Okay. I was going to ask you a question, I forgot. Anyway, let's move on. ICTA report, John.
Essentially, I have no report, but I can say that I'm enrolled at the next meeting, which is November 14th and 15th, I believe, and I'll be happy to go there and share what I learned.
Okay. Crystal?
Nope, I'm good.
Kristen? Richard?
I want to commend the administration on their celebration of 60 years of Rock Valley College in the city of Rockford. As Dr. Spearman spoke at the event, from being started on the west side of Rockford to the main campus being built where a cornfield once stood, to now having multiple educational opportunities spread throughout the 511 district, the best is yet to come. To think in 2 years, Rock Valley College will be back on the west side of Rockford where it all began. The celebration focused on students and faculty on the campus on October 10th, and the RBC Foundation celebrated with donors and alumni on October 17th. Both celebrations on the campus showed the enthusiasm the community has for the efforts the college has shown to providing educational opportunities to as many community members who are seeking a higher form of education. Trustees attended the mayor's business address, where thanks to Trustee Trojan, reminding the speaker that Rock Valley College has been instrumental in the community, advancing in a positive direction with the West Side campus development. I was proud to see the Rock Valley College campus participating in Making Strides 2024 American Cancer Society Walk on October 5th. Honoring the survivors, lost loved ones, and families is the ultimate service we can give to our community. Also want to acknowledge the women's soccer team on a successful season, and congratulations to the women's softball team on their victory of Division I team NIU. Pretty good. The people who represent the administration and the board are phenomenal individuals. I believe we're a team trying to reach the same goals. Reaching the goals can be bumpy at times, but staying our course is the overall objective. We should not stray away from the hard decisions, such as staying in tune to the policy and procedures of the college. Policy and procedures are essential for creating a safe, organized, compliant, and fair workplace. They contribute to a positive organizational culture, help manage risk, and provide a foundation for effective communication and decision-making. In short, policies and procedures are essential for any higher educational institution to operate in a smooth, equitable manner. I want the West Side campus built as much as anyone in this room because I know the positive impact the campus will bring to our community. But we will accomplish these goals without compromising our policies at the college. Our community, students, faculty are paying attention to our decisions, and we will set the example for them going forward. I admire each person at this round table, and we will continue to make Rock Valley College the gold standard in our region.
Thank you, Richard.
Very good.
Gloria?
Yeah, just a couple of, actually, I have questions. We were supposed to receive a proposal from, a proposal for the lobbyist. Did that come through?
Well, yes, originally, but it didn't have what we thought it should had in the proposal. So the proposal as is wasn't worth sharing.
Okay.
And at this point, we're in discussion, looking at maybe one or two other lobbyists
Okay.
and
Other
see if they have
options?
other options to see if they have a proposal.
Okay.
I think
And
we're
the-
looking more at also a state level rather than a national level.
Okay.
Which the proposal only dealt with federal level.
That makes sense. All right, then the other question I have, the Northwest Regional meeting that we had with ICTA here on October 1st seemed to go very well. I was just wondering if they gave us any feedback that day, I mean, what their thoughts were. I mean, I'm sure we impressed them.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
So yes, they were very impressed. First of all, they loved the facility, but they also were just impressed that so many people showed up and participated in the event. So they gave us kudos. They were not used to seeing as many people or as many trustees also. So I apologize if I haven't shared that before, but
You probably did. I probably was asleep.
Yeah, but they enjoyed the event and they were appreciative of, and several administrators from other colleges came so that they could see the Advanced Technology Center as well.
Great, great. Okay, and then Ms. Snyder, I think you, or Dr. Smith, I can't recall, either of you mentioned the HLC, and we are still waiting for the report, you said, right? Okay, right, okay, thank you. That's it. Thank you, sir.
Trustee Gorski.
Thank you, Chair. I think some of you figured out over the years that I have a kind of a passion for openness and transparency in terms of employment, bidding, and all else in the public world. Just lay it out there as open as you can and advertise as best you can. And I don't have to agree with the decisions if they're all done, openly and transparently. And I don't know if you realize this is kind of a almost 5-year anniversary, 2021, 22, 23, 24, yeah, where the board wasn't open and transparent. They came out of a closed session and sent the fax to the city of Rockford saying we're abandoning the South Main project and moving ahead with the Register Star Tower. And that was just one person essentially on the board, the chair and the president coming out with that and saying we're going to offer twice as much as the street value is for the building too. And so I kind of got up in arms about that, and I think that there's a lot of drama that fall in 2019. But it evolved into us doing proper research and going through due diligence and looking at 2 different reports and realizing the Register Star Tower wasn't the location for us. But maybe unbeknownst to some of you, the board was pretty close to still choosing a location. And then the chair at the time wasn't really taking my calls because he was a little irked that I took some legal fact-finding issues against him. But he took this call, and I said, hey, you're catching flack in social media for my positions on downtown. What can we do about this? I mean, I don't want you to be unfairly accused of my position. They said, well, what do you think? I said, well, I've been talking about going out for bid for that building for 3-4 months now. How about we give that a try? And he said, nope, we're not going to do that. I said, okay. And then a week later, find out we're going out for bid. And then we go out for this building, for this project. And we get 21 bids in after letting everybody in the world know that we're open for business. And out of the 23 bids, actually, there were 2 or 3 variations, so almost like 23 or 24 suggestions for a new location for the ATC. And all through the months then, and all through the process, we came to this. So I think that's cool. We had a lot of debate. We had a lot of discussion about what was proper procedure, proper policy, how to educate the public on it. And in the end, I think we did the right thing by being as open and as transparent as we could about the process. Now we have this beautiful facility, which again, wasn't my final my final choice either, but we were all open and transparent about it. And the people in Boone County and Belvedere in particular were so warm and welcoming all throughout the process. It was a whole lot different than some other people in some other towns. So, and I gotta let you know though, at the same time we're all doing this, and we've already moved away from South Main. The chair at the time and the vice chair, we got Patrick Murphy and then Jared Funderburg took over as chair. Immediately, they were already looking for locations on the west side to aggregate buildings. They would be proud of what we're doing on the west side, because as soon as we picked this place right away, they were already thinking, what are we going to do on the west side? What are we going to do in Rockford? And I think some people thought that once we were starting to build this, that we weren't going to do anything else in Rockford, but that wasn't the case. Talks went on, and then President Spearman came on board, and things were kind of moving forward, and we had a little hiccup in terms of rollout, but then we worked that out. So things work out. Sometimes we go through a little discussion, drama, and the like, but it can work out. And I firmly believe if the more open, more transparent, more inclusive we are, the better off we'll be received in the public, and we're doing the public good that way. And if I don't always, get the location I want, it's okay, just as long as it's fair and open. So I appreciate any efforts to, with all of our bidding and all of our projects, just to be open and transparent. And then I hear about the community engagement that we're getting from, people here. And that's all part of it, being out in the open and engaging people. So thank you very much. So thank you.
I have a few things. Back to the 60th luncheon, the anniversary luncheon, there were about 100 guests. Most of them were either retirees or alum or donors. So it was a very good turnout with 100 guests altogether. Save the date of January 25th. That will be our retreat, 8 to noon. And lastly, given all the discussion we had today on the paint booth, I would hope that the administration can really get the bids in and get this project back on track. We don't want to lose any time, and we certainly don't want to be over budget. So I challenge you all to really bring this thing back again in a good spirit of accomplishment. That's it for me. John?
January 25th, I couldn't catch the time.
It's on 8 to noon.
8 to noon?
Our usual time, 8 o'clock. There'll probably be some kind of breakfast served.
You
okay?
buying?
Pardon me?
You buying?
Yeah, I'm buying. Okay, student report.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? So the Rockford National Election Early Voting site is now open until the 25th, and it will be reopened the 28th through the 1st. There's been several people voting. I saw a few old people come in, very lovely. So that's a lovely things. So the Starlight Theater Friends reception is today from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. That's very lovely. The Blackmail Completion Initiative Forum is October 23rd from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. in the student atrium. This event is presented by the organization of Black men that are committed to obtaining their degrees from Rock Valley, and is to discuss retention, learning, and support teams on campus. The trunk or treat in the parking lot is Friday, October 25th through 6 to 8 p.m. All student clubs and organizations will be there, and it's open to the community. It'll be in parking lot 1. And then the Fall Festival on October 30th is an event that will hold pumpkin painting contests, as well as to offer cider and donuts from Edwards Apple Orchard, courtesy of SGA. I did not get the time on that. This concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Nico.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Foundation report, the upcoming scholarship luncheon, which last year drew 284 altogether. I think all trustees have been invited, and I encourage you to come, because there are a lot of students there, and it's always fascinating to sit with these students during the lunchtime, know who they are, and see where our scholarship monies are going.
And when is that?
November
8th,
the
I
first,
think.
8th. I think it's the 8th.
At what time?
At noontime.
Okay.
At Machine Shed. Machine Shed, I think so. You got an invitation, I'm sure, John. Freedom of Information Act, any comments?
Rasmussen? Okay.
Pardon me?
Radisson? Not Machine Shed, Radisson for.
Oh, Radisson, sorry, same as last.
11:30.
Yeah.
Machine
that's
Shed
right.
would be novel, though. I kind of like that.
I think there's some other events
11,
going on there.
11:30, November 8th.
Bob, I was thinking I like that, but you know. I like
Well,
their food.
refer to your invitation that was mailed to your home.
Yes, sir.
Any commentary on this? It looks like a long list of something or another. Hearing none. There is no closed session.
Hey, hey.
The date of the next committee of the whole meeting on November 5th. Guess what date that is? 5:15. The meeting will be held in the PAR room, 0214, based in the Educational Resource Center in the main campus. Next regular board meeting, November 19th, 5:15. Meeting will be held at the PAR 0214 room in the RC. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Oh,
No, you can have it. You have it there.
I second.
Nelson motion and Nichols second. Roll call.
Soltal.
Yes.
Kudia.
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Michaels.
Yes.
Gorski.
Yes.
Kennedy, yes. Trojan.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Have a good evening.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.